What's up everyone, this is Ryan here, and in this video I'm just going to be kicking off my brand new beginner full app tutorial series. So this will hopefully be the best tutorial series that I've created to date, and it also has been it's taken the longest to create out of anything I've ever done, so I do have to apologize that this is coming out quite a bit later than probably my regular subscribers would like, but work has been an absolute clusterfuck, and also I've been hit with an fairly major injury, and as you can see, I'm recovering from a flu, so it's kind of been a bit of a domino effect. But in any case, the app is fully completed on my end, so all that's left is producing the videos. So we should be back to a more regular upload schedule. No promise for daily videos, but at least 1 to 3 videos a week should do. So yeah, if I sound a bit funny, that's because of the flu. I do apologize about that because I'm Canadian. Without further ado, let's kind of just jump into the project here. So on the right, you can see a preview of the app that we'll be building. It's just a simple but elegant looking calculator. You might be thinking, why is he going to get us to build a calculator that's boring and stupid and stuff like that? And there's a couple different reasons for that, but the main reason is I wanted to pick something that had a fairly simple back end, and allowed us to sort of learn the basics of building a sort of flexible user interface and an aesthetically pleasing one, following material design, yada yada yada. Let's just kind of go through the topics, and we'll sort of work that out as we go. So, for starters, I'm going to be showing you in sort of various videos some basic software architecture ideas. Now, if you've never heard of that before or don't really know what that means, don't worry about it. I'll explain this stuff in detail as it comes up. But for now, we'll be covering just a very simple. I'll be giving you a very simple understanding of what like a 3-layer architecture is in the next video, actually. And then later on, we'll actually cover the architecture that will be used for this app, which is the model view presenter architecture. Again, like if that sounds really complicated and confusing, don't worry about it. We'll cover it in detail later on. I'll be explaining how to use styles, colors, and themes to their fullest, or, well, just a lot effective than I used them at the start. So lots of really interesting and awesome tips for that stuff. I'll be explaining how to create a user interface which is flexible, which kind of means that it's going to look pretty good on most device screen sizes. For the device screen sizes that it doesn't look amazing on, I'll show you how to create alternate layout resources and things like that to cover that sort of stuff as well. Obviously, it's going to be based upon the material design sort of specification. There's some stuff where, let me put it this way, I don't follow that necessarily to a T, but I use it as much as possible where it makes sense. We'll be using a number of different third-party libraries that are really awesome and freaking amazing and basically do a whole bunch of work for us. And that'll just kind of introduce you to the idea of when to not reinvent the wheel, so to speak, when to use third-party libraries to basically save a whole bunch of time. I'll explain, well, actually, let me put it this way. If you see the preview on the right, the upper display that has 900 times 655, that is actually its own fragment, and then below it is its own fragment. So I'll actually be explaining to you why fragments can be super useful, and also they lend themselves very nicely to an architecture like Model View Presenter. Obviously, you don't have to use fragments, but in this case, I'll hopefully be demonstrating how these fragments are actually, by using fragments, it's going to be a lot more effective than, say, just doing everything in an activity, which is something that I kind of wondered about when I was a beginner. I'll show you some basic sketching. What does that mean? Basically, it's the poor / lazy man's version of doing wireframes, which is what I like to do, sketching in particular. So I'll walk you through that stuff. And just a whole bunch of nice best practices, which I've gleaned from various different sources. And so yeah, that's by no means an exhaustive list of the topics, but I just wanted to show you that pretty much what I want to do with this tutorial is do a sort of a comprehensive tutorial and show you a whole bunch of things at the same time. And by no means should you have to remember all this at once, but I want to show you what it sort of feels like to build an app to near release quality. We'll be basically aiming for a beta release, So as you'll see, there's some stuff with the back end that I won't be bothering to handle. A lot of it I will, basically just some edge cases. But yeah, hopefully it'll be awesome content there. So let's just hop over to the next slide here. I wanted to create a list of goals for you to kind of think about, and these are things that hopefully I'll be able to teach you over the course of the next couple weeks or days, or however you choose to watch the videos, or I choose to release them. For starters, know when not to reinvent the wheel. I kind of covered that a bit earlier, but basically when to use third-party libs, and just becoming aware that there are some things that you don't really want to be doing if you don't have to, put simply. How to use styles, colors, and themes effectively, and sort of have them do the busy work for us and also help us with the design process as well. Understanding the fundamentals of creating a material design UI. So I'll show you the fundamentals of that. By no means am I going to show you, am I going to be like cross-referencing with the material design specification and measuring margins and stuff like that. But I'll show you the basics of that. Creating a simple near-release quality app. That is the main goal, I would say, is for those of you out there who are kind of beginners and you don't have a full application created, I want you to be able to basically have something and be able to say, hey, I made this full app, and be able to stick it on your phone and show your friends and stuff like that. And how to understand how to build software based on simple software architectural patterns. Again, I will talk about what that is later on. So that's pretty much it for the topics and goals. The last thing which I'll talk about is resources and how you can help me out. So for starters, for resources, each lesson which involves code will have its own commit to my GitHub repository, which I'll have links to that later on. So basically how that's going to work is if I make modifications to the app, I'll sort of be building it incrementally. What I'll do is at the end of each video, I will commit it to the GitHub repository, and then basically what that means is you'll have code specific to each video or each step in the process of building the app. Not necessarily each video, only videos that I actually change the code for. Hopefully that makes sense. There won't be any written tutorials to accompany this material. Unfortunately, the written tutorials, as awesome as they are, they take an incredibly long amount of time to cover when they're complicated, and I simply do not have time to do that. Also, I think between these videos, which are going to include a lot more slides than I normally do, and the GitHub repository, I think you'll have enough resources to kind of work things out. Over the next couple weeks, I'll be creating and producing this tutorial series. As such, I'm not going to have a lot of time to answer questions until that process is sort of done. If you do want to ask questions, by all means, hit me up on YouTube comments, or preferably on my Facebook, which we'll get to later. And I'll try and answer it if it's a simple question. But if it's something complicated, it'll probably be a while before I can answer you, if at all. Lastly, I just wanted to mention a couple things. If you sort of appreciate the fact that this is something that I have put already, I'd say about 40 plus hours into, and I'll be putting a lot more hours into over the next couple weeks. If that's something that you appreciate and you see that I'm trying really hard to make quality content for free, there's a couple different ways that you can help me out. For starters, on YouTube, you can like each video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Really appreciate that. And I don't, it's not a big deal, but hopefully you could consider turning off your ad blocker temporarily. You don't have to do that. Really, just the likes and subscribe is really important on YouTube. If you could like and share my stuff on Facebook, I've put a link in there just for my Facebook page for WiseAss Blog. That would be super sweet. And if you could follow me, and I think it's called +1 on G+ and all that stuff, then that would be super sweet. So anyways, that's it for this part of the tutorial. In the next video, we'll be jumping into some interesting sort of basic software architecture stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'm really looking forward to doing this tutorial over the next couple weeks.